show my 12 days of sewing Christmas gifts to give. Today is day 11 and we are going to be making these wine bags. They can be used for other things as well. So let's get sewing. Next, you are going to take your interfacing and adhere it to the outside part of your bag. I've already done this one. You'll just take yours though and make sure you have the fusible side face down on the back of your fabric. Once you have your interfacing on, go ahead and fold them in half, and we're gonna make this template because we're gonna use that to make our handles at the top. So let me go through how to do that. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna cut yourself a piece of paper that is 7 3/4 wide. That's the width of your fabric, all right? And then we're gonna go 7 1/2 down on that side. Once you have your piece of paper cut, go ahead and we're gonna fold it in half. We're going to work with the fold on this side. So I'm gonna zoom in so that you can kind of see that a little bit better. Let me go a little bit more for you. There we go. Sorry about that. You're going to need to measure a line that is 1 1/4 inch away from the fold. And all you're going to do is just take your ruler here and kind of mark 1/4 of an inch down about 3 times. And then you can see one of my dots there. And then you're just going to connect those dots to form that side. And that's going to be along the fold. The next measurement you're going to do is 5 inches away from this top edge. So just go ahead and take your ruler, go ahead and put your dots. You can see I have one there, I have another one right there, and I came down here and then draw that line, all right? The last part you're gonna do, and this is going to make the curve in the handle. It usually makes 2 loops around, one on each side. Let's stop here and I'm gonna go get one. We're gonna make this curve in the handle here that comes across. Now when you're making that curve, I sketched this one out, but I want it to come a little bit flatter here. I don't wanna have a point here because then it becomes more difficult to sew that. So let me show you another way you can add that curve in. Off that. Do that on your other piece as well. I am going to clip mine before I cut so that my fabric doesn't move around. And then I'll have some uneven cuts. That'd be something I would try to take a shortcut and I would mess it up. All right, we have the handle part cut, and I'm gonna clip the bottoms here just so they don't slide around and move as well. And you can either make yourself a little template that is 1 3/4 inches across and 1 1/4 inches up. I'm gonna use my little corner piece. This is a nice little gadget. It's a multi-size curved corner cutter. And I'm gonna use this end. I'm gonna show you how it works, all right? So I need to be 1 3/4 over. So I'm on my 1 3/4. I'm going to move it up a little bit more in the frame. So that's 1 3/4 over. I'm on that line right there. And then I need to be 1 1/4 this way. So I just come down and do 1 1/4. It becomes really handy. And you're just going to do that right on the fold there of each side. And I'll do the same thing here. And this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. Flip it over. 1 3/4, 1 3/4, 1 1/4. Measure twice, cut once. And do the same thing on the lining piece. Once your corners are all traced on there, you can go ahead and cut those out. We're ready to start sewing, so let's make an opening. I like to do an opening at least 3 inches. I have a bigger hand to get in there, and that's our no sew line, all right? We are gonna be sewing everything at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Start here. We're gonna go straight down, back stitch, always back stitch, especially at these openings, and 1/4 inch down to the corner, come off, back stitch at the bottom. Same thing up here, back stitch, come down to that line. On the other side, you are just gonna go straight down at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you do that on both pieces, straight down, straight down. We're gonna have the opening only on the lining. All right, we have the seam sewn down the side. I left that opening for turning it out later on my lining. And now what you might wanna do is press open your seams. It makes it easier to match them up when we go to put them together. All right, I pressed down my seams here. I struggled with this one a little bit with that interfacing as being difficult, but we're going to want to go ahead and clip or pin your bottom corners, and we're going to sew across those at a 1/4 of an inch as well. So go ahead and get yours done. You can even take it to the machine and sew across each one of these. I got to get mine lined up a little bit better there, and do that on both sides, and do that with the lining piece as well. All right, we're going to do that with all of these. All right, we have those corners sewn. Trim some of the threads, and then we're going to turn the outside one, the one with the interfacing, right side out. So go ahead and grab that.
Inside, pull it on out. I always like the reveals. I'm going to kind of push out my corners with my fingers there. There's a little bit there.
With the right side out, so we can put right sides together, and I'm going to line up the seam. I'm going to put this inside the lining, so our right sides are together. Got mine all set. A good test is to stand it up, poke your fingers down in there, and kind of pull so they're lined up. All right, and do that on both sides. And then we can line up our seams and start pinning, because we're going to be sewing this little handle view opening. So being that we had already pressed in here, line up your seams and either start clipping or pinning. I'm going to pin, because I just think every time I take out my clips, I can't get close enough and it moves. So go ahead and start lining up your sides all the way around. All right, I have mine all pinned down. The more pins, the merrier. Keeps it from slipping. You have your seams matched up and you have them open, which is important to help it lay flat, especially on these curves, okay? And we are going to now measure down, and I am going to do this on both sides here. So actually, before I do that, I'm noticing that this side is not lining up at the top. I'm actually going to trim it so they're both even. It's going to help, and I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm gonna make sure it's even with my one with the interfacing. All right, I have it all pinned. I even evened up here, kind of stuck a pin in. Sometimes the red was a little bit longer because of sitting down here. It's gonna be your interfacing, but you just want them evened up. And then we measured 2.5 inches down, or approximately, right in there, on both sides. I did it on this side and this side because it depends on how you like to stitch. When you're sewing around, just go slow as you go. And I kind of did it from the inside. Go slow as you go, take your pins out as you go. Now always put your needle down when you stop because you don't want it to get off course. So just go slow, take your pins out because you want to break your needle as you go. Keep your needle down when you stop and just go all the way around. Just take your time, it's not a race. Once you have that done, come on back. Now that we've sewn all around our U's, we need to kind of snip these, just kind of trim them. If you don't have a pair of pinking shears are great because it goes quickly, but you're gonna need to come in here and be careful you don't hit your threads, and you're gonna need to notch that whole curve. I kind of want to turn it so I have this side out. It's a little stiffer and easier for me to see the threads too. All right, so you're gonna come around and you're just going and just do not hit your stitches. And you're just gonna kind of come around, notching that. Shears here, I'm gonna start on this side. If you're using your pinking shears though, I'm not gonna come up, I'm gonna go like an inch away from where I started my stitches, and I'm gonna come in here and trim. This just puts those notches to make it easy to turn. All right, I'm gonna get both sides done. I'll have to do this side as well. All right, notches and the pinking shears are done. I did stay away from where I started my stitches, just so it makes it easier to turn that. We're gonna turn it right side out. Go ahead and find your opening. It's on your lining. Both sides of the handle are out. Now we're going to close this opening, so you may want to press that in. I like to press it, and then I like to pin it. And I'm only going to sew this at like 1/8 of an inch. All right, now that that is done, go ahead and stick that lining back inside. Now we are going to do a little press on the handles. When you're pressing these handles though, let's go ahead and press that 1/4 inch seam allowance in there to help us out when we go to put this together. So I'm going to kind of line up my edges here, tuck my 1/4 inch seam allowance in there. And so I have that. Let me show you on that. So I have my 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to press that down so it lines up nice. I'll get this side done first. And then I'm going to need to do that on this side as well. So I'm going to start with the green. I'm going to just get a nice little 1/4 inch seam allowance there. And let's see if I can get them to line up. And then we'll have to do this on the other side of the handle as well. Trimmed and notched this curve, we are going to press this in. I kind of try to push that red away, and I'm going to get in here and press that. do that on this side of you, and then I'm going to do it on this whole other side.
For some reason, I didn't get the video of me putting the right sides together of each of the handles with their 1/4-inch seam allowance. But that's what it is. Put the two together, the green with the green, the red with the red, and sew across at a 1/4-inch seam allowance. I did not go all the way across to the very edge.
All right, you can see it a little more clearly here, so I didn't take it all the way off the edge on each side, because that way it won't show. I'd still do my back stitching though at each side. Next step, go ahead and flatten out your seams there. You can use an iron if you want, it kind of help it lay better for you. So when you stitch around, because we just have the top stitching left. So I'm just going to come over here. All right, press those, and now I can turn them right side out, and they should lay nicely here. Oh, I'm all twisted up. They should lay nicely in here, and we are just going to pin all around the sides. I've turned mine so I like to, so my outside is on the inside, because I kind of like to bring it on my machine flat like this to work around on each side, and then I can kind of just move it. Just works best for me. You'll find out what works best for you as you go. And I am going to be stitching 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to widen the stitch, like I may have said that, 3.5, and it will just look really nice as a top stitch all the way around. So you can do this side, and you have to do this side, and we're almost done. This is the last step. All right, the top stitching is done. Clean up all your threads. I thought I saw, oh, here's one that's loose. Turn it right side out. And you have yourself one cute giftable wine bag.
Now that you know how to make these wine bags, you can fill it up with wine and you're ready to head off to the party, and you have a nice little hostess gift. You can stuff it with other things in there as well, candies, a wine opener, wine corks, whatever you want. But you can use this for so many other things. Let me put that over there, that's for later. You can fill it up with cup. You can put goodies in the cup like we talked. You can make a cup cozy. You can make it a little coffee type bag. You can fill it with toys. You can fill it with whatever you want. Go make yourself a bunch. Happy sewing.